You're listening to the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman, episode 11.
Well, today we are joined again by the very lovely Sophie Callahan. Sophie was my first ever proper podcast guest. I think it was episode 3.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Let's say it was episode 3. But since then, quite a bit has changed in Sophie's life. Actually, you tell us, Sophie, what's happened? Because it's not been a normal few months for you, has it?
Not really, no. I'm having a baby.
A baby human.
A baby human, because people did get confused when I put my announcement up and thought I was buying a puppy.
I saw that on your Facebook. It really made me chuckle.
Yeah, I mean, no, I wouldn't make a huge announcement like that and change the entire course of my business for a puppy, but it may have been easier.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. You've not had a good time either.
No.
Which has affected your work and the way that you do things. So you've already had to start changing. So I know people think when you have the baby, that's when you need to start, when potentially a new business structure would come in or a different idea of working. But actually, I know when I was pregnant, I had twins. I had to have a scan every 2 weeks, I think. I spent most of the time in a hospital growling. And you've had a whole different league of being in hospital, being poked, prodded, and the anxiety and the stress, as well as just being generally pregnant and having the nausea, exhaustion and everything else. So how have you managed all of that?
Yeah, I think at first I was very much one of those like, oh, I'm not ill, I'm pregnant, and I'm just going to get on with it, and I'm not going to let this stop me. Because you see pregnant women doing amazing things. Like you see pregnant women still like competing in sport and doing some incredible things. So I was very adamant that I wasn't going to let it stop me. But unfortunately, there were other things in the pipeline. Firstly, I actually nearly lost the baby. At like about 9 weeks. So that forced me to really kind of think about it all and slow down a lot. And then I kind of felt like I was getting back into my stride and getting back into work and dealing with it all. And then we had a lot of complications because we were told that our baby had a 1 in 5 rather than 1 in 700 chance of being Down syndrome.
So 1 in 700, what is expected?
Yeah, so for sort of my age and my circumstances, that would be my kind of average score.
There's a lot of factors that go into it.
Yeah, there's loads of different things that they kind of take into account. And basically the baby had fluid on the back of its neck, which then pushed our score right down to 1 in 5 chance. And that kind of started the ball rolling really. And ever since then, it's just been tests and procedures and hospital visits and scans. And lots of waiting for results. And I think one of the doctors actually said, because they test for Down syndrome, but then they also test every single chromosome in the baby's body. So to find any chromosomal abnormalities, any genetic abnormalities, and they say it could give you a lot more information than you would hope for. For example, it can come back and tell you that they've got cancer-causing cells. What do you do with that information?
I don't know what to do with that. Is it going to have cancer when they're young or old or?
Precisely, exactly. So, and the nurse said to us, if we told everybody this before they got pregnant, nobody would ever get pregnant because it's so terrifying. So we've spent a lot of time waiting for results, and the nausea also has been quite debilitating. So I have had to really kind of think about what's important and prioritize and take time where it's not necessarily that I've been feeling ill or tired. It's just that I just haven't had the headspace for work. I've just needed to kind of take time for myself and use all my energy kind of waiting for results and going up to London for tests and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely been more of a challenge than I expected it to be. But I've cancelled a lot of my long distance shoots and I'm just doing local shoots at the moment. And I'm lucky that it's this time of year, because this time of year tends to really slow down for me anyway. If this was the summer, it would be a lot harder. I would be annoying a lot more clients. But everyone's been really understanding, and I've just really scaled it back to just the things that I can cope with Yeah, at the moment.
No, I think it's a really good point, because a lot of people say, oh, pregnancy is not an illness, and it isn't, but everybody responds to being pregnant in a different way, because there's so much stuff at play, as you know now, from having all your blooming tests. Some people, you know, can be, I saw some video of somebody like weightlifting when they were pregnant, and I was listening to a podcast the other day. It was Jenica. I was thinking it was her. I was listening to an audiobook the other day, and they were saying that somebody ran a half marathon when they were pregnant, and I was like, fair play to them. I couldn't walk the dog on my own.
That's just about to say that. Yeah.
For the last couple of months when I was pregnant, I literally couldn't walk the dog on my own, because if she pulled, I was worried I wouldn't be able to. And she's not a pully dog, but I was worried that I wouldn't be able to pull back, or I'd pull something, or I'd hurt myself, or fall over, or something stupid like that. And also some days I really didn't have the energy to go out on my own, because I just thought, if I get tired, I just want to come back.
It's changed the way I behave at shoots as well, which I was really surprised about. So I had a shoot a couple of weeks ago where the horse was really playing up, and the client's daughter, who wasn't particularly horsey and actually had flip-flops on, was holding this horse.
Oh God.
And he was going up and threatening to rear him. But normally I've got boots on, I'm quite confident on the ground with horses. I would have just taken him and walked him off, and I just wouldn't have even thought about it. It was just second nature, I think, when you're horsey, especially because I know she's not particularly. And I was just looking at this poor girl holding this horse in her flip-flops, thinking, I am not holding that horse. I'm not taking that horse. So yeah, it definitely does change your mindset and change the way you think about things and the way you behave, especially around horses and, you know, activities that you wouldn't normally do without thinking about it.
But that's definitely the right action, because it's not kind of your problem. I know you want the best for your customers. I completely get that. But you've got to also look after yourself and, you know, and the bump, because it's not right that gets compromised because of someone else's decisions they've made.
Yeah, and I don't know the horse either. I think if I knew the horse, it would be different. But I have to now. I get quite complacent in my job anyway, and I'll walk behind a horse and then ask if it kicks, just because I think that's just a horsey person thing. But now I have to remember that I don't know these horses. They're not mine. I don't know how they're going to react. That horse could just threaten to rear, or he could go bolt upright. You know. Yeah, no,
I think that's a really sensible thing. So since you found out you were pregnant until, how has everything changed? Because you said that you've been doing less shoots when you were feeling really under the weather and had a lot on, but now you're feeling a bit better, and hopefully I'm sure I knew it was going to be okay. I told you it was. I did. I had a feeling, and I'm usually kind of thinking, oh, this isn't good, but I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's all going to be fine. So from now onwards, how are you kind of managing your workload? Are you giving yourself a bit more time off in the week? Well, not off, but at home? Are you looking to do more blogging? What are you looking to do between now and when the baby's born, or at least when you want to start not going on shoots?
Yeah. So I think, like I said, because it's so seasonal, it's kind of almost taken out of my hands a little bit. I tend to shoot a lot less in the winter anyway, so that's really worked out so well. It couldn't have been timed better in that way. So I usually do between 100 and 120 shoots a year.
Wow.
So the biggest change is going to be that next year I'm only doing between 30 and 40.
Okay.
And so obviously that's a huge cutback. And in the next couple of months, I will start planning for that. So I will start booking in. It's the type of thing I would do anyway, booking people in at Christmas and sending gift vouchers out. But obviously I just need to limit that, and it's going to be first come, first served. So I'm expecting, half hoping, but it will be a bit of a shame to take on so few shoots, but I'm hoping that I will kind of get booked up quite quickly with those, and that I'll be able to kind of look at my calendar for next year, for the end of summer when I'll start shooting again, and know what I've got in the diary and be able to plan for that. In the quieter months, and hopefully sort of when the baby's due and around that sort of time, I'll be doing a lot of blogging, a lot of vlogging. I've just started doing the mentoring calls with equine photographers, which is going really, really well. And yeah, so that's something I can do from home. It's easy, I don't have to go anywhere, but it provides massive value. It's so rewarding. And yeah, I'm doing a lot of the paid blogging now. So there's I've got a couple of companies, actually at the moment mostly dog companies, which is strange because Barney is kind of
Barney's the man.
He's like my team mascot. I mean, the team is just me and Barney, but still.
Well, 50% of the team is just...
Yeah. But obviously he's kind of a side note to my business. It's mostly equestrian and country, and then I do a little bit of doggy stuff here and there, but I seem to get a lot of paid work for dog companies. So I've been doing a few of those, which are really good because, again, I can do them from home. Yeah, things like that really, that kind of I don't have to travel so much for, but will still bring in an income and allow me to continue to build my brand and that sort of thing.
So you mentioned that you are doing less shoots next year, and I know this because I've read the blog post and obviously I work with you. So, but I know it's actually something you were looking to move towards anyway, that I know that we've talked about for quite a long time, about kind of moving and progressing and evolving. I know that you're obviously doing a lot of blogging work, you blog a lot, and there's other aspects of your business you want to expand. So actually the reduction in shoots is not a bad thing. It was actually always on the plan, but it's not just to reduce number, you're actually going to add a lot more to the shoots, aren't you?
Yeah, so the goal has always been to do all-inclusive shoots. I maybe wouldn't have done quite so few next year. I maybe would have gone down to sort of 50 to 70 from 100, but still. But that, yeah, it has always been the goal to do less shoots, but for an increased value. So value for me and value for my clients. A couple of years ago, I saw an American photographer only does all-inclusive shoots. And it had kind of never really occurred to me that was a possibility. And ever since I saw that, I was like, that's what I want to do.
What do you mean by an all-inclusive shoot? Just explain.
Yeah. So all-inclusive as in the customer gets all of the photographs from their shoot, all of the deliverable photographs from their shoot. So everything that would end up in their final viewing gallery. Because I spend hours, sometimes days, depending on how big the shoot is, editing each photograph. And every photograph that I deliver to them in their final gallery, I love. And when they only can afford to order 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, that's quite soul destroying in some ways, because then, like, most of my clients get between 80 and 150 photos.
Is that shoots with images?
That's a full shoot. That's their full gallery.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, it is a lot. And there's a lot that goes into those. And yeah, when they only order kind of 4, perhaps, that's a lot of images that just then sits on a hard drive and never really gets looked at. And I already have a package that's an all-inclusive package, and they get all of the images printed and on a USB stick. And I know that the people that buy those find massive value in those, and I know that they flick through them time and time again and find new favorites, and kind of there are images that they'd forgotten even existed, and they'll, choose to display different ones every week. Or I've seen some young girls put them up with fairy lights on their wall and just pin all of the photos up. Yeah. So there's a lot you can do with those. And it means that those clients have those images forever to do whatever they want with, to send to family, to print out, to make huge and hang on the wall. And I just think that they get a lot more from that. And it's something that I've wanted to work towards for ages, and perhaps wouldn't have had the courage to do this soon if it hadn't been for the baby. But I'm really pleased with the decision to do that next year.
Because I know when you very kindly did the photo shoot for me, I don't know how many is in that file. There's quite a lot in that file.
Yeah.
But I've got them all ready to go at some certain points, because they're all slightly different. So rather than me just putting the same image up on my probably Instagram over and over again, there's actually variations within the image. And I was looking at them maybe yesterday even when I was sorting out my sort of scheduling. And they're making me smile, and I was like chatting to Marilyn, and she was sort of scowling at herself, for God's sake, Mother, I'm so embarrassed. Mm-hmm. But I probably wouldn't have picked that one, because if I was going to pick up like 5 or 10. Yeah. But actually it is really, really special, and I absolutely love it, because I'm looking at it with different eyes, a different time of year.
A story as well, don't they? All of the images together tell more of a story than just kind of 1 or 2 individual images, I think. And what I always pride myself in is that the shoots aren't just, you don't just get a product out of it, it's a real experience. People really enjoy them. A lot of people have the makeup done, and a lot of people have said like they fall in love with their horses again when they see these photos, because it kind of confirms that bond in a tangible form. And I think that the story of the entire shoot over all of those images is something that you can only get if you've got the whole selection in front of you.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that actually. And yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. So are you doing a few different levels of the all-inclusive shoot? So you're doing one where you have your shoot and all your pictures printed and on a stick, did you say?
Yes, they come in a wooden box, and you get a USB stick, and all the images are 6x4s. They're only small prints, but you can flick through them, and they're just, because people don't tend to print very often anymore, and I want them to make sure that they've got them printed. And then there are 2 other levels for things like if people want something a bit extra for a gift experience. There's a £750. So I should say that the lowest option, the all-inclusive basic shoot, is 500. And then there's a £750 option, which is the same box, USB, all photos printed, and then a big canvas to go on the wall.
Oh, cool.
And then there's kind of a real luxury option, which is £999, and that is the USB, the box, the prints, and a nice big A4 album that's got kind of your favourites printed into it, which is a really beautiful gift option. I've got some samples ordered of those, so I'm really excited to get those through.
I have to say, I know that if people are used to the lower option that you used to offer, I'm going to go just shoot.
Yeah, just shoot on its own was £100.
Well, actually, you're only paying, if you got 100 usable images, it's a £5 a picture.
Mm.
I know I've got a lot more than £5 worth of enjoyment out of each image that you took for me.
Yeah, and the shoot is kind of almost a false economy, and it was something I offered because people wanted it, but actually when you look at it, they're paying for the shoot, and this was always very transparent. There was never kind of any nasty surprises. No. But they were paying for the shoot, and then they would pay, a lot of my clients would pay £100 for the shoot and then pay the £500 on top for all of the images on a USB when they eventually saw them, because they couldn't choose. So actually they were paying more by doing that than they will be by doing this option. So my prices haven't gone up, but it's just that my structure has changed. And hopefully, like I say, that'll add more value for both me and for the client. So it's kind of a win-win, really.
Definitely. And I think it's really exciting. So obviously when the baby comes, you'll have some time off. And will this be completely, we won't see you anywhere, or will this just be time off from shooting?
Probably not. I mean, I can't keep away from Instagram. No, I'm sure, and I'm sure I'll be very excited to share everything. And we know I'm a total oversharer anyway. And and I feel like, especially now, the reaction I've had since I announced the pregnancy and I kind of shared the whole story with everything we've been through has been absolutely incredible. Yeah. So I think I feel like everyone's going through it with me now, which is what I've wanted all along. We were very careful to make sure that we'd had all of our tests back positive and everything before we shared it. But it was agony not sharing it, because we were going through so much. And Instagram and, my following that I've built, they're so supportive and so lovely. That I'm sure I'll be very excited to share everything. And it'll be time off from anything that I feel drains me, but I will dip in and out of the things that I enjoy doing that don't put any pressure on me, I think.
So I guess that's likely to be traveling to shoots.
Yeah.
The things that kind of take you away from home. So you'll still be doing blogging?
Probably. There'll probably be a bit of a lull, and I won't put any pressure on myself to kind of stick to a rigid routine, especially when the baby first comes along, because I have no idea how I'm going to cope with this. I've never done this before. I can barely keep my plants alive. So I'm sure I
kill plants. I don't understand them. Don't worry.
Okay.
And I've managed to keep 2 children alive.
Yeah, 2 kids alive, yeah.
3 years now. So don't take a plant as a thing. Take the dog.
Okay, yeah, he's doing well. He's still going strong. He's 8, so yeah. So I think it would just be things that don't stress me out, and if I fancy putting a blog post up because I enjoy doing it, then I'll do that. But I'm definitely going to take a few months just for myself that I'm not going to put any pressure on. And then I'm hoping to get back to work sort of July, August time. And that's when I'm going to I've already started booking shoots into the diary for that. So Yeah.
So how are you going to manage that with the little one? Have you got sort of Mummy Callahan on the job? She will love that.
I think she thinks this child is hers.
That might be really useful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to milk that. Yeah, she's so excited. So we've both got very, very supportive families, which we're really lucky to have. And as well as that, lots of friends who have already told me that this baby is not just mine, it is everybody's.
No, too right. I mean, I've taken a foot of it, I think.
Oh, have you? Okay, well, you've already named it, so we won't go into that though.
Let's not go into that, because I don't want to spoil the surprise for people.
Okay, yeah, it's not being called that. Okay.
It is
But yeah, so I think we're going to have a lot of support. My mum has already said she will give up whatever she's got going on and take the baby on like 2 days a week if she has to. So
that's really, honestly, I'm really lucky that my mother-in-law helps me 2 days a week, and it is literally worth its weight in gold, because I know that the boys know her. She comes to my house. I mean, she's literally in there at the moment whilst I'm talking to you. They know her. It's in my house, so I can still go and have lunch with them or go and play with them or whatever. But I know that they're happy, safe, being looked after. It's, and even if it's just that I want to come and do some office work in the quiet, just not being able to actually just do something. I really enjoy work, so being able to do something and not be distracted by a scream or a this or a that is massively useful. I would definitely take her up on that.
Yeah, oh no, I will, 100%. And you know, Sam's sister has got 2 kids as well, and she's already offered her babysitting services, as has my cousin and loads of my friends. So I'm sure we're going to be inundated with offers. Yeah, I think I've worked really hard on kind of the whole work-life balance thing over the last couple of years as well, and I've definitely got better at prioritizing what's important and prioritizing time for myself. So whereas I would have worked 24 hours a day, you know, every waking hour a couple of years ago, now if I decide I want to go for lunch, I know I work really hard, I know I've built a business that is flexible, and I know that you don't have to work your fingers to the bone to be worthy of being successful and making money. And I think that's a huge realization, and something that will really help me next year. You know, I won't allow myself to feel guilty for taking time off, and I will only do what I can cope with. And like you say, I'm quite lucky that Sam sometimes gets to work from home as well. His company have been amazing with letting him off work for scans and that kind of thing, so he's quite flexible in that way as well. So we're kind of really well set up for it, I hope. I think.
Yeah, definitely. So what if there was somebody who's either just pregnant or thinking of starting a family, what kind of advice would you give them about the kind of feelings that you had before you got pregnant versus sort of now? You know, things about maybe not putting pressure on yourself, or what advice would you give?
I don't know that I'm qualified for this question, to answer this question. I think you definitely become a bit more ballsy. So like I said, I've been working in my head, I've been working towards the all-inclusive shoots and cutting back my shoots for quite a long time now, and I really don't know what I was waiting for. I don't know that there would ever have been a right time, whereas this happened and I was like, right, well, that's my excuse, that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, I think you kind of prioritize a bit more, you work out what parts of your business are important to you, and what things other than work are important to you, and what you have to kind of let go of to be able to say yes to more of those things. Yeah, I think that's kind of what I've learned in the last couple of months, and my mindset has definitely changed. To just have a bit more courage with my business and kind of push it to where I've wanted it to go for a while, I think.
I think that's a really good point, because I know whenever I think of things and I speak to lots of people, there never feels to be a right time, because there's the easy option and the kind of cozy nook you've got yourself in, which isn't a bad thing, you know, it's cozy. But in order to make that leap and to change things, it does feel scary. Even if actually from someone looking from the outside in, you go, well, of course it's not. Actually, you're not really changing what you're offering, as you know, we've just discussed. But it feels like a big thing.
Yeah. And I think the baby has kind of given me the permission I didn't even really know I needed. But obviously I didn't actually need that permission at all. I could have changed my prices and changed the way I did things, and it's my business, it's up to me how I run it. And you don't go into Tesco's and say, well, I actually don't like the way that's priced. You just buy it. And if you don't like the way it's priced, then you don't buy it. And I think that people forget that with their business, it's up to them, and they can price things the way they want to. They can structure things the way they want to. If they don't want to work Sundays, they don't have to work Sundays. It's your business. And that's kind of the beauty of running a business yourself. I think people lose sight of that. And it's definitely taken this for me to kind of grasp that back, if you like.
No, I think that's a really good point. People forget, I know I do, that the whole thing about working for yourself is that you get to dictate those things. You get to decide when you want to work, how often you want to work, what you want to do within it. And your business has evolved since you started as being not just a photographer. That sounds really, I don't mean that to sound like it does, but I know you also do a lot of vlogging, blogging, paid for blogging work, brand work. You do a lot more because your business has grown and evolved and developed. And I sort of see this, and I saw it with my own business as well. It was a continuing sort of evolution of that, rather than a sort of, oh, well, the baby's arrived, screw that, that's the end of that then. It was more of a, well, actually, I've worked a long time to get here.
Yeah, and it hasn't been by accident. Like, me and Sam have both kind of had a plan in our head that at some point in the next couple of years, perhaps we would have waited slightly longer having had the chance. But
get on with it.
Is another thing though, when is the right time? Like, there just isn't one. But we knew that at some point in the near future we would want to have children and want to have a family. So we've worked quite hard with both about our jobs, our careers, to get ourselves into a position where we are comfortable and able to do that. And it's definitely, I'm so glad that we did it that way. I'm so glad that we've had that forethought, because now I feel quite comfortable with the way things are. And I feel like it will be not easy, I'm sure, but easier than perhaps somebody who hadn't had that forethought in the first place.
Yeah, completely. I think that's really good. As I know that this is a thing that a lot of people, a lot of self-employed people particularly, have this sort of fear about starting a family, because it is a change. And when your business relies on you solely, it feels like a huge change. But it doesn't actually have to be that terrifying or that scary. There's a lot of things out there, whether you tweak or evolve what you're doing. Always take help would be my advice. I mean, that's probably been, I am a complete control freak, but the good thing is with children is that I hadn't had any before and didn't really used to look after them. So I get a bit excitable if anyone even considers looking at my emails. They wouldn't. Because I know that I'm good at that. What I do, I've been doing it for so long. I know it inside out. Kids, not at all. So I'm so very happy to have help in that area.
Yeah.
To be honest, my mother-in-law's raised 2 children. She's already a lot more experienced than I am. And she also has the time to research fun things with them that she'll do. It was a bit strange when I left. They were playing with a tea set, and she had I think it was Radio 2 on, and girls just want to have fun. So that was a little bit. I didn't get involved in that because they were all having a lovely time. It's best not. But I know she's a lot more experienced in that. Like your mum's had 3 children. So again, you wouldn't have her taking pictures for your business, but actually she'll absolutely love looking after her little grandchild. But I think that asking for help would be my biggest, or accepting help would definitely be my biggest piece of advice for anybody, because you think you can do it all on your own, and you can, but it's a lot easier this way.
Yeah, no, I'm not under that illusion.
And I think that the path of least resistance is definitely a good call. And I think as well, I know that I've not struggled with it, but when I go to toddlers and stuff, I'm Charlie's mum or Oscar's mum, and I'm always like, okay, yeah, just take this on the chin. I don't know why it annoys me, because I'm really proud to be their mum, but you can kind of lose your identity a bit.
Yeah.
So I think it's where you have health visitors, midwives, all these people coming to sort of torment you because of the child, and no one seems to value anything about like you or what you've done before. You mentioned a horse and the kind of colour drains from their face, and you're like, right, here we go again. So personally, for me, having work that I could go and do even when they were really little was really important for my mindset more than anything else.
Yeah. And I think my career is my first baby, really, because it's taken so many years and so much of my energy and focus. that I'm sure at first I won't want to work and I will just want to be consumed in, you know, the new baby and all of that. But I'm sure there will also come a point where I'm so thankful that I get to go out and kind of be creative and be myself and have time away from the house. So I'm excited that I've got that and that I've built this in a way that hopefully will work and I can manage the both. Yeah.
Well, it will. And the beauty is, if it doesn't quite work how you want to, you can make adjustments and make it work.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's another thing as well. Flexibility is a really, really good skill to learn. So again, you stop beating yourself up because you do get the mum guilt. Whatever you do, you're doing the wrong thing. Or you feel like you're doing the wrong thing. You actually aren't. The kid doesn't really care. And if you have a few emails to answer, the chances are they won't care either, but you feel like the world's imploding. Whereas actually there was an audiobook I was listening to, and they were kind of saying, if you're a mum, you have to sort of worry about, is the child alive and okay? Brilliant. Are you all right? Yeah. You've won today then. And when you start beating yourself up about, you know, washing in the sink or that the washing hasn't done, you go back to points 1 and 2. Is the kid okay? Excellent. Are you all right? Perfect. You've won.
Yeah.
And it sounded like really kind of flippant. I thought, if we can maybe keep that in our minds when we feel like the day's gone a bit wrong.
Yeah.
Which I guess is all about, goes back to your point of prioritising what's important.
Exactly.
You okay? Child okay? Excellent. Well done you.
Yeah. And I actually think that, you know, the prioritizing what's important thing is a lesson not just for anyone who's having children, but it's just a lesson in business, because I think so many people are so obsessed with this whole being busy and working themselves into the ground that it's just not healthy. And the reason we want to run these businesses is because we want a certain lifestyle, and actually we just get so bogged down in having to have a great work ethic and work hard, and we kind of lose sight of what's important. So I think it's a lesson just in business in general, really.
No, I couldn't agree more. So tell us where we can keep up with all of this. Remind us of your blog, website, maybe not every single social media platform because you're everywhere, but give us where we can find everything else out.
Well, my blog is sophiecallahanblog.com. Instagram is probably where I am the most at the moment, which is just at Sophie Callahan. Facebook I'm on a lot, and that's /Sophie Callahan photos. If you just Google or search me on YouTube, then you'll find me there. Twitter I don't really use, so we won't mention that. I think that's that.
No, that's a good lot.
Yeah.
And obviously if people want to book a shoot for next year, they need to crack on, because you don't have that many spaces, so they need to get on with it.
No, I mean, I put the announcement out yesterday that I was cutting back on shoots and I was changing my prices, and I think I've got 5 people kind of booked or booking at the moment, so I assume that it will go quite fast, especially over Christmas.
Yes, no, that's a good point. So if you're interested in a shoot with Sophie, and if you're not, you need to be, so just to get that out there.
That's it. Good.
Thank you very much, and I can't wait to see more online.
You're very welcome.